Hello, good morning, Internet, and welcome back to the Master List of Logical Fallacies, read by Alan Muliger and commentary with Alan Muliger and Bryce Barnett. And today we are covering the meaning of life, the universe, and everything, because we are on number 42, the Draw Your Own Conclusions Fallacy. And Alan, how are you doing today?
Doing good. Today's a good day. Got up early, went to the gym, cold plunge, sauna, all the things. So I've been dialed in since 6 a.m. and I feel great.
Awesome. Wonderful. Are we ready to transform our mindset into our most authentic self to challenge our own psyches?
Absolutely.
Hell yeah. Is there anything new in your life that you're excited about?
Hmm. Let's see. Ran my event last weekend that went really well. So that's just such a blessing. And Making a lot of just really good connections with people. Um, yeah. So a lot of good connections and um business is going well, and it's not even about business in terms of like the numbers. It's just like there's a movement that is happening around the thing that I have been wanting there to be a movement around for the last 10 years, and it's starting to occur. So this morning I just had like a real moment of like the things happening, and it was a cool moment.
Awesome. I'm not sure if that was intentionally vague or not, but you're welcome to share whatever that thing was. But if not, we can just dive into it.
Eh, It's intentionally vague in the sense that I don't know if I could describe it, and it's my life mission, life purpose. It's why I'm here. It's what I want to bring out to the
Gotcha.
world, and so it's hard to make that concise.
Very well. Very well. All right. Let's dive in to number 42. Draw your own conclusions fallacy.
Here we go. Alrighty, the draw your own conclusion fallacy. Also, the non-argument argument. Let the facts speak for themselves. In this fallacy of logos and otherwise uninformed an otherwise uninformed audience is presented with carefully selected and groomed shocking facts and then prompted to immediately draw their own conclusions. Example, crime rates are more than twice as high among middle class Patsanaks than among any other similar population group. Draw your own conclusions. It is well known that those who are allowed to, quote, come to their own conclusions are generally much more strongly convinced than those who are given both evidence and conclusion up front. However, Dr. William Lorimer points out that, quote, the only rational response to a non-argument is, so what? Example, what do you think you've proved, and why/how do you think you've proved it? Closely related, if not identical to this, is the well-known leading the witness fallacy, where a sham, sarcastic, or biased question is asked solely in order to evoke a desired answer. Got it.
I've
This
definitely done the leading the witness fallacy upon other people, and that definitely has worked. I did that a lot in Cutco when I was doing demonstrations, and also in vector marketing while I was a manager to help people come to a conclusion. Now, again, just so everyone is aware, a fallacy does not necessarily mean that that is the incorrect thing to do. It just means that there's no reason to believe it for that reason alone.
Yeah.
So the process of someone getting to a correct conclusion the wrong way doesn't make the conclusion incorrect. Um, what it should say to me and people who rely, or I should say, used to rely on that, because I really intentionally try to do the opposite now. Is have people come to reasonable conclusions. So for example, one thing that I remember in Vector doing while I was a manager was giving people two options, and this might be a combination of a false dichotomy, but I would say, okay, so either do you think this is the case or this is the case? And whichever is the latter option would be the one I would intentionally want them to select. And almost always they choose the latter. Um, Even if it's the wrong answer, they did that. And sometimes I mixed that up accidentally when I was a manager, and they would say the incorrect one, even though they like knew the opposite one. And so, um, yeah, part of that is just like whichever is the more recent one that they heard is the one that they choose. So that's I think that's kind of leading the witness,
Mhm.
um, if not literally leading the witness. But nowadays, what I intentionally try to do is say the thing that I think is true and then have the opposite, which is, or maybe not. I'm not sure. Which one do you think? And like I want to encourage someone to say, I'm not so sure if the first thing you said was accurate. Because I want to be proven wrong if I am wrong about something. Um, so that's what I've learned, and that's what I try to practice from this. Um, but I didn't really touch on the draw your own conclusions. It says closely related, but I mean, honestly, I think these are actually kind of different. Um, but let's see, the draw your own conclusion. It's giving two things that are a non sequitur, and then asserting that those must have something in common, one caused the other, and then you just tell people to draw your own conclusions. You're encouraging people to participate in fallacious reasoning. You're not giving you're not giving the equal sign to this then this. You're just saying this then this. What do you think? And the you're encouraging them to put the equal sign there. So that's why I see the draw your own conclusions fallacy as. Alan, sorry, I rambled there. What are your thoughts?
You're good. Yeah, the leading the witness fallacy is definitely one that, um, well, when you put it the way that you did, um, it's interesting. It said the leading the witness fallacy defined it as where a sham, sarcastic, or biased question is asked solely in order to, I guess biased. Yeah, yeah. This is something that I do frequently, even right now, but it's interesting. It's being used in the case of understanding that when in trainings or when I'm leading someone in a workshop or whatever it is, understanding that if someone is not, I've just noticed over time that if I don't ask people yes or no questions around certain ideas, that I don't get them to say yes or no, or that's right or that's not right, it actually causes their mind to get exhausted because what will happen is I'll throw so much information at them and there's no start and stop for the brain. And so the brain just goes absorb, 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 I can't, I'm done, I'm exhausted. And so I've noticed that in training circumstances, workshop circumstances, speaking circumstances, it's really important for me to consistently ask yes or no questions or ask, does that make sense? Does that make sense? How many follow? How many follow? Like consistently getting people to be in agreement, less so that they agree with me. I could give two shits if they agree with me, but more so that there's a start and a stop so the brain
Couldn't
can move
couldn't give
forward.
two shits.
Or yeah, couldn't give two shits. Couldn't, yeah. To me, it doesn't matter if they actually agree with me or not. It's more of a service of like, oh, in order for me to help this person absorb more information, their brain needs a break in the information that's being given for them to continue moving forward. So I use this one a ton, but I definitely, and honestly, do I really use it that much though? No, I don't. I wouldn't say I use it a ton. I'd say per training that I do, and if a training is 6 hours, I'll probably do a lead the witness fallacy, which is like a question that has an obvious answer to it. I'll probably do that maybe 3 or 4 times in a matter of 6 hours max. But the draw your own conclusion one, what popped up for me was this there was this video of this older guy. He was walking through a forest on TikTok and he was like, um, he was like, oh, he was like, in 1980 something, margarine was developed. I'll leave that there. In 1993, uh, the case amount of cases of brain of dementia went up by 14%. I'll leave that there. And he kept like dropping like these facts and kept saying, I'll leave that there, I'll leave that there. And it was essentially the exact thing of the draw your own conclusions. It was like it's like I don't have any the conclusion. I'm trying to think, what do you think based off this information? And it's like, bro, there's so much information. He was basically making this conclusion that margarine is the reason there's dementia and Alzheimer's was his argument, which I was like, interesting. But he always, each one, it was, I'll leave that there. I'll leave that there was his line each time.
What's fascinating about that is it kind of reminds me of one we just covered, diminished responsibility, where like it's fallacious reasoning, but you don't have the dishonesty to just say therefore this. So you're
Yeah.
leaving out the therefore, and you're encouraging people to create the therefore.
Mhm.
Um, Even though you are at least honest enough to not put the therefore there,
Yeah.
and feel better because you've diminished the responsibility, but in reality, it's equally as fallacious. Well, I don't know. They're both fallacious, but I don't know. Some fallacies are stronger than others, and the ones that have people. Yeah, well, one thing I've learned as manager is whatever conclusion that somebody comes to themselves, if they say it themselves, it's way more strong than you telling them the answer.
Yeah.
So for that reason, I would argue that that's probably even worse, because they could come to a wrong conclusion on their own merit, and then if somebody does that, it's really really hard to change their mind. It's really hard to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so with these, I'm not sure I ever won't use the leading the witness fallacy again. Um, and not that I won't be doing it intentionally, but the thing is that it's important to know what fallacy you're using, um, and have alongside it the reasons why it's correct. But if you need to use the fallacy to help somebody get to the correct answer, I think is fine, as long as you carry along the reason with it.
Hmm.
Um, what else was I going to say? It's important to have responsibility whenever using any of these. Ones that are, I would argue, almost necessary for society, like what was that major one that you can't really avoid as an artist? Argumentum ad mysterium.
Yeah.
It's like every thesis statement in your um in your art, if you're arguing that that is true and you're using art to do it, that is argumentum ad mysterium. So like, what do you it is not possible to just avoid all fallacies, but use reason alongside helping people come to conclusions. I think is the right answer to that.
Yeah. Yeah.